Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Hey, just wanted to jump on here and talk a little bit about Trump and being consumed by hatred and putting your political party ahead of country and nation, and just try to get people to reflect a little bit on how absurd and unreasonable you seem. I watched President Trump yesterday in that NATO meeting, and I think he did a great job in laying out to NATO that Americans are tired of paying for your defense. The percentage of our GDP that we put towards NATO is far greater than what the European nations who benefit far more from the NATO alliance than the United States does. And, I see people criticizing President Trump for what he said in that NATO meeting. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? If you want to pay for NATO, then why don't you just go ahead and send your checks to NATO? As far as I'm concerned, NATO is obsolete. I don't think Russia has any interest in invading Europe. But if they do, and if Europeans believe that, then Europeans can pay for their own defense. Admiral Yamamoto, the Japanese admiral, knew that he could never invade the United States because he knew there was a rifle behind every blade of grass. Well, Europeans have allowed themselves to be stripped of their right to self-defense. I think that's another thing that makes them more vulnerable to invasion than the United States will ever be. I don't think any nation could ever invade the United States simply because of our Second Amendment and the wisdom that a lot of Americans have to remain well-armed. Because at the end of the day, even if you don't have your military, if each and every one of us were to stand shoulder to shoulder against a foreign invader, they just wouldn't stand a chance. I'm looking at things like the North Korea situation where since 1952, the Korean Peninsula has been in a state of war, and President Trump is the first one that's really been able to lay down a clear path to peace on the Korean Peninsula and the denuclearization of North Korea, yet leftist fascists still find ways to criticize him over this. It's amazing to me. So they criticize him over NATO, they criticize him over North Korea and denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, and then you've got these tariffs. Okay, Trump made it very clear that his objective is to have zero tariffs. Because I don't know who the first idiot country was to start tariffs, but once one country levies a tariff against another country, it's just going to be a vicious cycle and a downward spiral. And that's where we found ourselves, when Trump took office, is the United States, in many instances, we're not on a level playing field with our trading partners in regards to tariffs. And Trump ultimately wants to see no tariffs, which I agree with as well. I believe that is the best way to promote global economic prosperity. And the way in which he's going about doing that is he's giving them a taste of their own medicine and letting them see, hey, you want to levy tariffs on our products? It's like the European auto manufacturers. They enjoy a 2.5% tariff on European EU cars coming into the U.S., whereas American auto manufacturers are charged 10% tariff for selling their products in the European Union. Now, what's equitable about that? And yet, people who claim to be patriotic Americans want to criticize a president for trying to level that playing field. Well, let me tell you the result of that, of Trump saying, hey, we're going to come back with I think he said either a 10 or 20% tariff against EU car manufacturers, is the presidents of the German auto companies got together and said, hey, let's end this craziness, Let's reduce tariffs. We don't want to have to sell our BMWs and Mercedes-Benz with a 10 or 20% tariff. So ultimately, that's how you get the playing field leveled out, is you get everybody on zero tariffs. And that's what we're going through with China right now. And, I love seeing a trade war with China, because what kills me is the ecological damage that China has sort of facilitated a disposable society when it comes to American consumables. It's like we don't buy quality, we don't fix stuff anymore. We don't buy stuff that's supposed to last for life. It's like you buy something that breaks, you buy another Chinese piece of crap to replace it, and it's all by design. So not only is that sort of thing killing our planet, but I think it's just fundamentally unethical and immoral way to conduct yourself. So by implementing huge tariffs against China, which Trump has done now, I'm going to tell you, the Chinese rely way more on us consuming their goods than we do on consuming their goods, or on them consuming our goods. So they might be talking tough, they might be issuing counter tariffs and that sort of thing, but I can tell you, over the long run, Trump's doing a very wise thing there, levying heavy tariffs against China. They simply cannot sustain the economic growth that they've enjoyed over the past couple decades with steep tariffs in place, and let them remain in place. Let's make Chinese goods more expensive. That's going to promote U.S. products, U.S. manufacturing, and it's going to make our nation stronger. So, but hey, if the Chinese want to come back to the table and they want to eliminate all tariffs, which is ultimately what Trump has said his goal is in regards to tariffs, then let's do it. So, I'm just jumping on here because I just see lots of comments, just people consumed with hate towards Donald Trump on social media. And, it's just nonsensical. It's like they're putting their political party ahead of country. And I'm going to remind you guys, it wasn't that long ago that Donald Trump was a New York Democrat, a registered New York Democrat. And, he was a relatively popular guy several years ago when he was doing his reality TV and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, he's the dumbest guy in the world. He's the biggest piece of shit in the world. And it just makes no sense, folks. You're being manipulated. The deep state is scared of Donald Trump. Ultimately, the greatest thing that Donald Trump is going to do for our country is clean up this corruption, and he's going to expose the Luciferian pedophiles for what they are and the disgusting things that they've done to hundreds of thousands of children over the past several decades. And that's going to be his greatest accomplishment. And I'm just going to warn you, folks, that when all of this comes out, all you haters out there who endlessly hate upon the man, who gave up a billionaire's life with a beautiful family to come and serve his country. He did not want to do this. You might not believe this, but he did not want to become president. He was recruited and convinced to do so because the mission at hand is to drain the swamp. And when the truth comes out about all that, and when the truth comes out about a lot of your political heroes, you're going to feel really ashamed at the way in which you've treated Donald Trump and the way in which you've talked about Donald Trump. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. And this video is not really directed at my regular audience, so I encourage you all to share this with some of your leftist fascist friends. So here's the other one. I want to talk about ICE for a second. Abolishing ICE. This is another absurdity set forth by the leftist fascists recently. And as y'all know, Pizzagate and Pettigate is my passion in exposing these child traffickers and these crimes against children and the Luciferian pedophile rackets who traffic children all around the globe for their sadistic ritual sacrifice. And, anybody that wants to abolish ICE, and one of their primary missions is to end human trafficking and to keep our country safe. I mean, can't you see you're just a victim of propaganda and brainwashing? How absurd is that? Why would you want to see the preeminent federal law enforcement agency that deals in human and child trafficking abolished? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know what that makes you look like? That makes you look like someone who is in favor of human trafficking and child trafficking. Is that what we're to believe about leftist fascists? Is that what you want? So anyway, every time we turn around, we see leftist fascists attacking Trump's policies and statements, and you just need to look in the mirror for a second and see how absurd you look. You've lost all credibility, And the only thing I can again remind you is that you're going to be ashamed when the whole truth comes out at the way in which you've conducted yourself and the people who you've supported and the people you've attacked. So word to the wise, keep it in mind. Maybe do some reflection. Please share this video with those who you feel are maybe not so awakened and are wrapped up in that are victims really of the manipulation and the mockingbird media. And you know, keep hanging there, keep spreading the truth, and we're gonna make it through this fine. And keep up the good work, guys. I love y'all. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.